I'm
That's when
not
we started
still
at
unprepared. Well, I'm so unprepared the way I was unprepared for my 9th standard final exams, right? So that was the first time I failed in my life. I failed in my 9th class. So I'll begin the story of my failures. Don't laugh, Marianne. Right? Well, I belong to that set of friends wherein people who never study the entire year would open the book only the last few weeks of the exams and would just study for 50 marks and would just pass by, right? Well, I was very popular among my school friends. Everyone knew me by the name because I was outstanding student, right? Standing outside the class most of the times. And teachers, they seldom knew my name, right? The only time I got in touch with them was when I was, they'll say, Satish, homework kiya? Nahi kiya, bahar jao. Hey, Dara, book leke staff room aa ja. So that was the only time I ever got close to the teachers. But there was one sir who was very close to me, right? He was my sports sir and he was also my NCC master, right? So what happened was it was my 9th standard exams and on the same day I also had my NCC B certificate exam. So I went to my sir, I told him, see, I had the NCC exam also and I also had the annual exam, what do I do? So he said, beta, you do one thing, right? You do the NCC, you give the NCC exam, we'll make sure we promote you. So I was very happy, right? I thought, okay, I didn't have to study for the exams. So I'll go for my NCC B certificate exam. So I went, it was a 10-day camp. And I came back and I also got my results, right? I cleared my B certificate, but I failed in my 9th standard, right? So what happened was, what my class teacher did was, she doubled the marks what I got in my half yearly. So maths, I got some 4 out of 50. She doubled it, I got 8 out of 100 in my final exams. Right? The only subject that I passed was English and Sanskrit. Okay, so that year I was very depressed, right? That was my first failure in life because all my friends moved to the different class. And also that was a year I paid more attention towards my studies. And from below average, I was an average student, maybe a little above the average. And as time progressed, right, I also studied well, not well, but somewhere, okay, I used to get around 60%, and eventually got into engineering seat, and it was a merit seat that I got. My rank was 4,385, okay, and I was best among my family members, but once I went to the engineering, I was back to square one. I lost the interest and I dropped out, right? Then I did my BCom and I did my MBA, which I completed recently. So most of the things that I learned in my life is not in the school or not in the college, but out of my experience. So one such experience was when I was in my 7th standard. It was my summer vacation. I was sleeping on the floor. My dad stepped on my foot, right, and I screamed. He panicked. He didn't know what to do, and he yelled at me. He said, "Thunder soru, first caste proposal kariya." It means you're not even worth 10 paise. And for the kind of people, people think I'm kind of jovial, but for the people who know me very closely, I know I have a lot of ego, right? The kind of ego I have, sometimes, it makes me do things. So I got up, I got very angry, I wore my trousers and I went to my school ground. Right next to my school ground, there was a golf course. And near the golf course, there was a small shrine, okay? I could see people standing in the queue. I thought, okay, they're getting prasad, let me go have food. So I was standing, and what happened? What happened was, every time a car came by, the guys used to run behind the car. And the guy who came out of the car would give them a golf bag, and these people used to carry. So I thought, okay, let me do the same job, let's see what happens, right? So that was my first job. So when old lady pulled over, and I went, she gave me this, she said, "Beta, tum isko utha paoge, this golf club, and it's too heavy, you cannot carry it." So she gave me a trolley. So that day I made around 50 rupees for 2 hours, right? On the way back home, so I was all excited, I was calculating. If I could make 2 hours, if I could make 50 rupees in 2 hours, how much could I make in 24 hours, right? I was all excited, and I went back home and I gave this money to my dad. I told him, I'm in 7th standard, this is the age for me to study, and you calling me Dandasur and Nalayak is something really pricked me bad. So the money what I earned that day was very small, but I earned a lot of respect that day. Right? And ever since then I carry this attitude that I can do whatever it is, I can get by. And also along the way, I inculcated a lot of other mental philosophies, right? So one such mental philosophy, 5 such mental philosophies would be, the first one is, expect more from yourself, right? That is the first trait of the leadership. Expect more from yourself and be accountable. Now we try to compare our success with another people, right? No, stop comparing with yourself, right? When you start comparing your success, you make that person as your benchmark, right? And you don't work to the best of your own potential, and you limit your potential to the potential of another person. So for an example, let's say you're in a race, right? What are the possibilities? Maybe you'll be few steps ahead of the person, or you'll fall behind, right? But if you stop competing and start working on your own potential, instead of walking and running, you might end up flying, right? The starting point of excellence starts with exceeding your own expectations. No once Jesus Christ said, right? No, what did he say? I just forgot.
Peace be with you.
No. When they ask you to walk a mile, you walk a two. Well, I don't think he was talking about spirituality. He was talking about the management philosophy. Where if you want to be best, if you want God in your life, you have to be best. For an example, if you want Lord Krishna in your life, you got to be Arjuna. You know why Arjuna? Because he was the best warrior in Kurukshetra, right? So there is one story, right? There was a man, right, who had the habit of reading the newspaper once he was back from the work. So he had a 6-year-old daughter who kept on pestering him, Dad, play with me, Dad, play with me. And he didn't know what to do, so he was going through the newspaper. So he comes across a picture of a world map. And there's a situation brilliance. What it does is, it takes the papers, puts it on the floor, and he says, this is your jigsaw puzzle, fix it. So what this girl does is, in less than 10 minutes, she's able to put it back. And says, Dad, I fixed it. This man is shocked. Okay, knowing his own IQ, he almost believed that this could be a genetical skip. So looking at the puzzle face, the girl says, Dad, I know what you're thinking, right? But when you're tearing the paper, behind the picture, behind the map, there was a picture of a man. So the girl says, Dad, I don't know where the US should be, where India should be, where Sri Lanka should be. But Dad, I know where a nose should be, where the face should be, where the forehead should be, where the eye should be. It seems like the girl told the father, Dad, I got that man right and the world became right for me. So this is the challenge in today's world, right? We want the world to be right, but nobody wants to be the right man, right? The moment you start being the right man, the world is going to be right for you. That is my first philosophy. And second one is, be passionate about the work that you do and align yourself with the highest work ethics, right? See, not everything comes easy in life, right? Work ethics cannot be something, it cannot be an HR policy. Be passionate about the work that you do. Well, you can make difference when you're passionate about the work. Tomorrow, if you want, you can hire a rock, give it an employee ID, make it sit in front of the computer, but does it add any value to the system? No, but how different are you from the person, how different is the rock from the person who's not devoted to the work? There is one real life incident, right? There were a couple of railroad workers who were working by the railway track, right? And a train which was supposed to pass by just stopped, and a man from the coach peeped out, screamed at the railroad workers, "Hey Dave, come in." Dave was one of the railroad workers, right? He went into the coach, and for the next 30 minutes, there were noises, there were voices, laughter, and after that the guy comes out, and the guy from the coach just waves goodbye. His colleagues, Dave's colleague, they come and ask, who is this person who stopped the train from only AC coach and you by the name? So Dave says, oh, you don't know him? He's Jim Murphy, the chairman of American Railroads. So they become even more curious. How did the chairman know your name? He said, Jim and I, 20 years back, came to do the same job, to lay on the tracks. Now they became even more curious. They asked, 20 years back, you guys came to do the same job. He's a chairman, and you're still doing the same job. What is the difference? So he says, my focus 20 years back was $1.75 per hour, and working for American Railroads was a byproduct. But for Jim, the main focus was working for the American Railroads, and $1.75 was the byproduct, and that made all the difference. So guys, when you align yourself with the expectations of the organization, you get promoted. Right? That's what I'm trying to do. Yes, money is important. Salary is definitely important. But when you keep focusing on money all the time, all right, you will come to a point wherein the money is not going to motivate you anymore. Right? Once you become passionate about the work, eventually you get the money aspect, and you're also happy with the job that you do. That was my second philosophy. And the third one is relentless, intelligent effort. Right? When you see a man doing the work effortlessly, trust me, he has put in so much of work, so much of effort to make it look effortless. For example, you can never ever take a shortcut. One of the best example would be, how many of them know who's Picasso? Everyone knows who's Picasso, right? So once Picasso was taking a stall in the market, right? And the old lady, I mean, there was a lady who recognized him, told him that, could you please draw my portrait?
You mean Picasso, bro?
Picasso.
Picasso is the software.
Picasso. Okay, Picasso. Okay, guys, Picasso. Okay, Picasso. So he was able to draw the portrait in 30 seconds and give it to her, and he said it's $3,000. So the girl said, "This is insane, right? We just took 30 seconds to draw this portrait, and we're charging $3,000." So Picasso said, right? It took 30 years of experience for me to draw this portrait in 30 seconds. So the reason I'm telling you this is, guys, okay, you put in effort in whatever you like, right? Tomorrow when you go out, you can put a price tag on yourself. You can sell yourself. When you sell yourself, what are you good at? What is your domain? And don't really last. Okay, that is my third philosophy. The fourth one is always practice growth mindset and never stop learning. Well, every day is a new beginning provided you're always willing to learn. Life gets monotonous if you don't want to learn, right? Well, you guys must have realized, okay, when you learn something new and exciting, you have a different level of energy altogether, right? You feel all nice. Do you know why it happens? Anybody?
The feel-good hormones.
You know, because you're there in the class. That's because it releases dopamines, which in turn stimulates the happy gland. Right? So always make sure that you guys learn at least one skill every year. It may not be relevant to the job that you do right now. One of the best examples would be of Steve Jobs, right? When he dropped out of the college, right, he found calligraphy very interesting. He joined calligraphy class, but at that point of time, it was not relevant to him. But 10 years down the lane, when he designed Macintosh, right, he also implemented all these typographies into his Macintosh, and he had a beautiful fonts. So when you learn something, you also make sure that you give it to the rest of the world. So when you give, it comes back fourfold. For example, by Bill Gates, he gave world the Microsoft, and the world gave him back what he made him rich. The same thing happened to Steve Jobs also. Huh? But yeah, Steve Jobs. You can think of Macintosh. And my fifth philosophy would be always believe in supreme power. All right. So maybe if you want something really bad, right, try to put your whole heart and soul into it, and trust me, it's going to work. The entire universe will conspire in favor of you. There's one famous dialogue from the movie Om Shanti Ho. Right? I like this dialogue all the time. It says, इतनी शिद्दत से मैंने तुम्हें पाने की कोशिश की है कि जिंदगी के हर जर्रे ने मुझे तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश की है। कहते हैं अगर तुम कोई चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश में लग जाती है। It's very true that entire universe is going to work in favor of you, but you can relate to this in your life itself. Probably it will not happen right away. If you want six-pack ab, it will not happen very next day, but it will take its own time, provided you put your heart and soul into it. So these are the 5 philosophies that I followed in my life. The first one is, expect more from yourself and be accountable. Second one is be passionate about the work that you do and align yourself with the highest work ethics. Third one is relentless, intelligent effort. Fourth one is practice growth mindset and always be willing to learn. And fifth one is believe in supreme power. So these are the things that has helped me in different sects of life and helped me in different interviews. That's all. And you guys have any questions?
Those are 5 Satish values.
These are my values, just like SP values.
Once repeat the dialogue in Hindi once again.
I'll play a small video that is relevant to one of my philosophies that I follow.
That's why
you're dressed in formals today. Dressed like this, I was thinking.
She came late, Ram. She came late.
last.
No, Dad, it was discussed on the floor only.
Asmita, on can I?
It's okay.
You know, there's a light and that door is proceeded.
This is why you're disconnecting my calls, no?
Hey, how many times will you show this Satish? Volume. Connect that, no volume.
Connect this thing.
This side, in this hole. Right.
Yeah, in there.
ಅಲ್ಲೇ correct.
ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಒಳಗಡೆ.
Volume in that one?
No, no, I need to declare.
Leave it.